In the sun-scorched expanse between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, something remarkable is taking shape. A $12 billion high-speed rail project that could redefine transportation in the United States. But this isn't another government boondoggle or pipe dream destined to collect dust in a forgotten folder. This is Brightline West, a privately driven, solar-powered bullet train that's aiming to do what decades of federal proposals couldn't: deliver fast, modern rail service on American soil. While most of us are still grumbling through airport security lines or crawling through gridlock, a little-known private company is making high-speed rail, something the US has long envied from Europe and Asia, a reality. And this time, it's not about lofty speeches or endless planning. It's about actually laying track and moving trains. For real. America, once the rail giant. To understand why Brightline West matters so much, it's worth rewinding history a bit. A century ago, the US was the global leader in rail innovation. Our railroads didn't just connect cities, they built them. From coast to coast, America's train network was the envy of the world, carrying millions of passengers across the continent with jaw-dropping efficiency. But then came two revolutions that pulled the brakes. First, the aviation boom of the mid-20th century made cross-country air travel fast, glamorous, and accessible. Why take a train for days when you could fly coast to coast in hours? Second, and perhaps even more impactful, was America's love affair with the car. The post-war era was the golden age of the automobile, capped by the 1956 launch of the interstate highway system under President Eisenhower. Over 47,000 miles of paved freedom were rolled out, linking towns and cities like never before. Train ridership plummeted. Engineers who once dreamed in steel rails pivoted to asphalt and jet engines. Public attention and funding shifted. America, once the titan of rail, fell behind. A missed bullet train opportunity. Despite the shift to planes and cars, the idea of fast trains never fully died. In fact, America flirted with high-speed rail as far back as the 1960s. When Japan debuted its now iconic Shinkansen bullet train in 1964, the US took notice. President Lyndon Johnson even championed a domestic version. Tests in the Northeast Corridor reached speeds of 150 miles per hour, and by 1969, regular trains were hitting 120 miles per hour between cities like New York and DC. It was progress, but not transformation. While countries like France, Spain, and China sprinted ahead, building massive high-speed rail networks, America stalled. The Amtrak Acela, our fastest train, still maxes out at 150 miles per hour, but only in short bursts. Most of the time, it's forced to share ancient tracks with freight trains and slow down for outdated curves. International standards define true high-speed rail as 155 plus miles per hour on dedicated lines. By that definition, the US doesn't have any, and the consequences are real. More traffic, longer commutes, higher emissions, and fewer mobility options for non-drivers. A Florida success story. So who finally cracked the code? That would be Brightline, a private company that quietly launched something revolutionary in a country where big rail dreams usually go to die. In 2023, Brightline completed a new intercity rail line between Miami and Orlando, two major Florida cities roughly 250 miles apart. The trains travel up to 125 miles per hour, not quite international bullet train speeds, but a huge leap forward for the US. What's more impressive is how they did it. Unlike government-run projects that often drown in bureaucracy, Brightline operated like a startup. They raised private capital, Wall Street style, then bypassed the usual red tape by building on pre-existing rights of way. Most of the tracks were already owned by their sister company, Florida East Coast Railway, and for new stretches, they used land along state-designated highway corridors. No drawn-out land battles, no eminent domain drama, just smart, streamlined construction. The result? A sleek, comfortable train that beat the traffic, avoided airport headaches, and actually attracted riders. Turns out Americans do want to ride trains, if those trains are fast, clean, and actually go somewhere useful. The Vegas gamble. Brightline goes west. With their Florida project finished and operational, Brightline is now setting its sights on a far more ambitious goal: Brightline West. This new line will stretch 218 miles from Las Vegas to Southern California, reaching top speeds of 186 miles per hour, making it the first train in the US to truly meet international high-speed rail standards. The ride will take just 2 hours and 10 minutes, turning what's normally a grueling drive or awkward short-haul flight into a comfortable, fast, and sustainable sustainable option. And the timing? Perfect! Nearly 50 million trips are made between LA and Vegas each year, mostly by car. The route is too long to drive comfortably, too short to justify flying for many, and currently underserved by public transit. In other words, it's the ideal corridor for fast rail. Brightline plans to finish the project by mid-2028, just in time for the Los Angeles Summer Olympics. Route engineering, smart, not flashy. Brightline West's route is impressively efficient. Instead of cutting through neighborhoods or private land, 96% of the line follows the median of Interstate 15, avoiding costly land battles and lengthy lawsuits. That means fewer delays, simpler permits, and lower costs. Environmental approvals are easier too, since the route skirts sensitive ecosystems. While building in a highway median poses engineering challenges, like 160-plus bridges and steep grades through 𝐃𝐨𝐽 Pass, they're technical hurdles, not political ones, and that makes all the difference. Financing, the hybrid model that works. Brightline West's funding model is perhaps its greatest innovation. The total budget is around $12 billion, and only $3.75 billion of that comes from public funds. The rest is financed by private investors who have skin in the game and every incentive to keep costs down and progress on schedule. This approach is the opposite of what's been happening in California, where the state's own high-speed rail project has ballooned into a cautionary tale. Originally pitched as a $33 billion bullet train from Los Angeles to San Francisco, California's project is now expected to exceed $140 billion, with no clear completion date in sight. Billions have been spent, yet the only segment being built connects two relatively obscure towns in the Central Valley, Merced and Bakersfield. Not exactly what the public had in mind. Why the disaster? California's project is 100% government funded, which means decisions are shaped by politics, not performance. There's little accountability, endless delays, and no urgency. Politicians chase headlines with flashy stations and studies, but actual trains remain a fantasy. Brightline, by contrast, is driven by results. If they fail, investors lose money. That accountability fuels smarter decisions and leaner budgets. The Brightline West experience. This isn't your grandpa's train. Brightline West will be fully electric, zero emissions, and powered by solar energy. Trains will offer fast Wi-Fi, spacious seats, premium ticketing options, and yes, even a party car because it's Vegas. The route includes stops in Apple Valley and Hesperia, with the southern terminus in Rancho Cucamonga, about 40 miles from downtown Los Angeles. Passengers can then connect via Metrolink commuter rail into the city. Sure, it's not perfect. Ideally, the train would go all the way into LA, but by avoiding dense urban areas, Brightline cuts costs dramatically and eliminates the need to acquire expensive city land. It's a smart trade-off. A new blueprint for American rail. If Brightline West succeeds, it won't just bring high-speed rail to the US. It will show us how to do it right. Public-private partnerships, smarter routes, accountability, speed, sustainability. It's everything California's bloated rail saga isn't. And perhaps best of all, it's doable. Groundbreaking is scheduled, funding is secured, and the public is interested. If all goes according to plan, Americans could be riding the country's first true bullet train just 3 years from now. In a nation that's fallen far behind in modern infrastructure, this isn't just a cool project, it's a turning point. The rest of the world has been speeding ahead on steel wheels for decades. Maybe it's finally time for the United States to catch up. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting or learned something new about the future of high-speed rail in America, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Have thoughts on Brightline West or the future of transportation in the US? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your take. Until next time, stay curious and maybe, just maybe, take the train.